Hi, my name is John Ferrara. I'm the CEO of Nimble, and today is a special day. Today is the day we're going to learn how to master LinkedIn for social selling from the expert, um, Brynne Tillman. Brynne, say hello.
Hello, everyone, and hi, John. Thanks for having me today.
Brynne, let's go to your cover slide and talk a little bit about you. I want to embarrass you as best I can.
Oh
Um,
gosh.
Brynne, what I love about you is your beauty and your strength, your ability to synthesize process into digestible pieces that facilitate people to build their brand, build their network, and leverage LinkedIn in ways that are amazing. You transform sales professionals around the globe how to use LinkedIn and Twitter and social selling to grow their business. You've written books on the LinkedIn Sales Playbook, Tactical Guide to Social Selling. You're a founding member of Together Digital, a nationwide network dedicated to accelerating the advancement and growth of women in digital creative fields. But more importantly, you're a dear friend, and I color myself lucky to count you as a friend. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, and I'm grateful to have you in my world as well. So I'm thrilled to be here.
So for those that don't know about me, my name is John Ferrara. Brynne, let's go to the next slide.
Yep, there you go.
And I've been building relationship management systems for longer than I care to say. I actually created a company called Goldmine that pioneered contact management and CRM before Outlook or Salesforce existed. And the thing that was unique about Goldmine is about relationships. It wasn't about reporting. It wasn't as much a CRM as it was a relationship manager. And I think it's more than salespeople. They need to worry about their brand and their network and relationships. I got back in the business to build Nimble because I think that in today's social, over-connected, over-communicated world, we need a tool that helps us to build relationships at scale. And so let's cover the agenda real quick. So today we're going to learn to turn your LinkedIn profile into an amazing magnetic resource that attracts people, that sets yourself up as a trusted advisor. We're going to learn how to network and build new relationships as well as nurture existing connections. We're going to find out how to prospect smarter for your business. And we're going to find out how to take these connections and utilize them to gain access to net new targeted buyers. And then we're going to talk about how to do all of this the Nimble way. And then we're going to end with some offers. The thing I want you to remember is questions, questions, questions. Ask us questions. That's how we all learn. Do it in the Q&A box. And with that, Brynne, I'm going to give you the soapbox and inspire and educate us.
Oh, thank you, John. My favorite thing to do is talk about LinkedIn for social selling. And what we're going to talk about today is really based around the four pillars of LinkedIn social selling. So why social selling? Before we even get into the how, let's talk about the why. First, the buyer's journey has changed. I mean, John will tell you from the time you started with Goldmine, you started with Goldmine. I was using Goldmine before I had email, like literally. So inside of my company, I got email after I had a Goldline account. So I remember that back in the day, which I thought was so interesting. But everything is changing, and it used to be when I started off in sales that the buyer had to call me for information if they were looking to learn about a solution I provided. There was no Google, right? So in effect, I was involved at the very beginning. We were all involved at the very beginning of the sale 25 years ago. Today, the buyer is 67% through their buying decision. They're Googling, they're finding out information, they're self-educators. And that's shifting the way that they buy, and it's got to shift the way that we sell. We're digitally connected. Nottingham Trent University did a study that we are on our phones 85 times a day on average. That's all of us. Our buyers are there too. So we want to make sure that our content and our conversations are there. And this is the evolution of sales. I said, when I started, there was no email. Can you imagine doing business without email today? I certainly can't. Well, in the next few years, you're going to be saying, I can't imagine doing business without LinkedIn. Here's what we're all doing right now, most of us, right? We're doing random acts of social. We sign in a couple of times a day, maybe even a few times a week, depending on how much you use it. You like things, you share things, you accept connections, you ask some people to connect, and you move on. But random acts of social will give you random acts of sales. So we want to make sure that we're going into this purposefully. And one of the biggest myths that a lot of sales professionals out there talk about is how social selling is an excuse not to pick up the phone. Well, the way that we look at social selling is the goal of that is to get more phone calls with targeted buyers, and not because they accidentally picked up the phone when you called them, because they raised their hand and said, I want to talk to you. And that's really the significant difference in social selling and traditional sales.
Brandon, can
Before
I interject something here? You asked me to. So I really believe that the whole power of social selling is to get people actually to pick up the phone and call you and drag their friends with them. And it's all about setting yourself as a trusted advisor. By giving your knowledge away, you essentially are not trying to sell them. You're there to serve them. And I believe if you teach people to fish, they'll figure out you sell a fishing pole. And that's what I love about what you do is you teach people every day. And if they want to learn how to be better, smarter, faster with social selling and LinkedIn, they call you. And that is the new paradigm of social selling, is where your prospects are cold calling you.
I love that. I may steal that line. I think that's fabulous. I love it. And you know what? That is true. And we're going to get into really by offering insights and value, you're really attracting them to you. And so that's great. I love that. Before we jump into the 4 pillars, I just want to quickly review that there are 8 stages that anyone or company should go through before they actually roll out the social selling program. I'm just going to quickly go through. You need to establish your goals and KPIs just like any other sales process. If you don't establish what you're going to measure and what success is, you're going to go back to those random acts of social. So KPIs can be anything from like my goal, there's results goals and there's activity goals. My goal is to have 3 new conversations with prospects a week, and that might mean that I need to ask for 20 introductions a week that get me 10 that turn into 5 new connections and 3 new calls, right? You've got to get that down. You have to buyer map. We're going to talk about this today. How do we identify, find those ideal prospects? We have to select the right tool stack. Are you using the free LinkedIn or Sales Navigator or Point Drive, which is an extension of Sales Navigator? Are you using a calendar scheduling tool to make it easy for your prospects to connect with you? Are you using Grammarly so that when you post, your commas are in the right place, right? Those are the kinds of tools. You've just got to make sure that you've got that in place. Content strategy is king. Content is not just original content, it's a strategy around who are you engaging with, how are you engaging, how are you curating content, how are you getting your thought leadership out when you do share that content, and original content. So content strategy goes way beyond blogging. You need to have I call it a custom playbook. I've been saying this for over 10 years, that you've got to have a playbook that tells you exactly what you're going to do on a daily basis. This is what creates success in salespeople. You've got to have a value-centric profile. We're going to talk about that today, moving it from a resume to a resource, so you're providing value, and then training, and then measuring and coaching for improvement. So here are the 4 pillars of social selling. This is defined by LinkedIn, and you can actually get your social selling score, your SSI score is your social selling index by LinkedIn, by going to getmyssiscore.com. If you're logged into LinkedIn, you'll get your score. It's broken up into 4 areas. I flip-flop the last 2 because I think it's a better flow, but the first one is establish your professional brand. This is where we're going to start today. Then we're going to go to find the right people, build relationships, which is prospecting ultimately, and engage with insights. So this is what your SSI score might look like and how that's broken down. Again, you can go to getmyssiscore.com to get yours. So let's start with establish your professional brand, converting your profile from a resume to a resource. Corporate Visions has a stat out there, John, that I actually was blown away by, which is 74% of buyers choose the sales rep that was first to add insights and value. And when you think about that, that's 3/4 of the buyers. It has nothing to do with price. It has everything to do with value and insights. So if
Well,
that's the case,
let's just
yeah.
look at real estate agents for a second, right? So if you hire a real estate agent, you're going to hire the person that basically negotiates the best percentage commission with you on your house. You're going to hire the person that's going to maximize the value if you're selling, or helps you get the right house, which means experience. And that person has established their experience and their value to you over time by building their professional brand. So that is 100% that people are looking for the expert. And why would you want to hire anything else? And that's why you need to establish yourself as a trusted advisor, 100%.
I love that. So with that mentality, let's start with our profile, right? So the job of our profile is to position us as the thought leader, as the industry expert, as the subject matter expert, and to create credibility early on by providing value. You can't just tell someone you're good. You have to have an impact on them in order for them to really believe it, right? And then the goal also is to attract, teach, and engage your targeted buyers. And, I say get them excited to take your call, but boy, John, do I love get your prospects to cold call you. We're going to have to talk about that because I think I'm going to use it a lot. And how many times I need to give you credit. But I think that's brilliant. I think it's brilliant. So first we're going to talk about above the fold. This is, in the analog world, above the fold is the newspaper, right? This is what we see if we walk by a newsstand. And the goal of that is to get you to want to keep reading. Well, your profile has an above the fold too, and that's your banner, your headshot, and your headline. We are graphically driven. So it's so important that we've got a branded banner. Your headshot. Now, this is a 24/7 networking meeting. There is absolutely no question that you need to look like you would look like if you showed up at a chamber business card exchange or better. No wedding cutouts with your spouse's hand on your shoulders and no brick walls in the background with shadows, right? Like get a professional headshot for sure. And your headline. Now, you may notice I have a pretty long headline. Normally on the desktop, you've got 120 characters to build out a headline, but if you have an iPhone, there's a little hack and you can get up to 210. But there's a goal. Let's see if I go find. Yes, so there's a goal in this headline of getting your readers to want to keep reading, getting your visitors. And your headline should really include 3 things: who you help, how you help them, and why they should care. And this is a big deal because a lot of us stop there. It's that the old features, benefits, advantages. And when you get to advantages, you're really reaching what matters to them. Well, that's what your headline should focus on. So I have transforming the way professionals grow their business. That's who are they? Professionals that want to grow their business. How do I do that? By leveraging LinkedIn. And why should they care? To schedule more calls with targeted buyers. At the end of the day, now they'll go, okay, I want more phone calls with my targeted buyers. And if that's the case, fabulous. Then I'm going to keep reading because you've got me curious and interested to keep going. Next thing is your summary. Now, a lot of us, if you take a look at your summary, I bet you your summary starts with my mission, my passion, my years in business, or I am an experienced. We want to get away from that because we have to earn the right for them to care about you. And if you start with you, they're going to leave because you haven't impacted them enough to care about you yet. But if you start with what matters to them and providing that value by the time they get to your experience where we will talk about you, they'll care. So this is completely my opinion, and there are many different LinkedIn experts around the world that do this very differently than I do, but I've been A/B testing this for a very long time, and really at the end of the day, this is getting us the best return. So the first thing is the challenge. It's like the traditional sales training, make them sick before you can make them better, bring their pain to the surface. So if you can, so the buyer's journey has changed. Buyers are researchers, explorers, self-educators, and collaborative decision makers, and it's significantly impacting the traditional sales process. The know, like, and trust mantras now attract, teach, engage. If you're not breaking through the noise, gaining access to stakeholders, and positioning yourself as a thought leader and subject matter expert, your competition will. You've got to go, oh my gosh, yes, I'm stuck in the old way of sales and it's not working. Then you want to go into insights, and these are vendor agnostic insights. It's not a pitch. It's not who I am, what I do, what my product does. It's literally teaching them how to think about something differently or how to get curious. And if you pitch here, which would be about how we help, you're going to lose them. But if you gain insights, this is the moment where they say, wow, this person is valuable to me. Once you've done that and you've earned the right, you can talk a little bit about how you help. And then you want to call to action. This is a big deal. You've got them excited now. You've brought them value. I've actually booked calls from people that said, I learned so much from your summary. I couldn't wait to learn from you when we chatted. So here's where we ask for that. Like if you're in need, if you are struggling with, let's chat. And here's my big fan tool of, here's a link to my calendar, pick a time that works best for you. And your contact information. We want to make it as easy as possible for them to connect with you. When we get to experience, this is going to be a little bit more about you and what you bring to the table, but not completely you. Start with your title and company and you can add some, beyond your title, you can add some search engine optimization words to help you get found. Offer your 30-second commercial, then what you do, and another call to action and contact information. And by the way, we have a little new hacking thing, which is so exciting, LinkedIn has now threaded old positions together. We have hacked the old positions, and instead of creating old positions, we have put in actually deliverables or solutions. So instead of saying I used to be the VP of sales, I now am talking about the products or services we deliver. And so as people scroll through, they'll resonate with certain things, and then you've got another 2,000 characters to talk about that. And I'd still talk about the value it brings, not the actual feature benefit kind of thing. So, John, do you want anything before we go into find the right people?
Well, Brynne, I really believe that people buy better versions of themselves. They don't buy products. And you got to stop talking about yourself or your products and services. Start talking about how you can help other people become better, smarter, faster. And so what you're saying there is spot on. And I think that too many people still send a monthly or quarterly newsletter about how great their products and services are, or how great they are. You need to teach people how they can be great, because the more people you help grow, the more you will grow.
I love that. So we're going to quickly go through these slides, which is finding the right people. It's buyer mapping, and I believe that this is available for download from GoToMeeting from this webinar. So I'm going to go through it quickly, but you'll have this as a resource later on, which is we've got to identify all our ideal prospects by titles and LinkedIn filters so we can find them on LinkedIn. Now, we're going to talk about Boolean search or search string, because in the free LinkedIn, we need to use this. If we have Sales Navigator, you don't need Boolean searches, but the only way we're going to really drill down to our exact target market in the free LinkedIn is to use these. So there's the or, which is it's a huge list. So if I say marketing or salespeople, I'm going to get a list of everyone, the title with the marketing or sales anywhere in their title. If I use and, they've got to have both words or phrases in their title to show up. So they have to have both marketing and sales to show up in my search. Not would be marketing. If they have the word sales, they won't come up in my search. We've got to use quotation marks. So in this case, if we're going to say vice president marketing, if we don't put quotation marks around it, then we're going to pull up Miami Vice. So if we have more than one word, if we have a phrase that we want those words together, we've got to use the quotation marks. And if you remember from 5th grade math, everything in parentheses you do first. So if we have one list of vice president or director, and then we have another list of marketing or sales, the and in the middle means we've got to have at least one term from one of the lists and one term from the other list in order to come up. So I'm only going to get marketing and sales people that are vice presidents or directors. Once we create that list, we can use this in lots of places. First, we recommend you search your existing connections and see who you have been ignoring. So we're not going live today, but if we were going, these are the steps to do this in order to find who in our network are we connected to already that meet that search criteria. We also, in that search on the bottom where we would have first degree connections, we can search our second degree connections. And that's what I'm really excited about because that's when the magic begins. So I'm going to jump into how to search connections, unless you want to add something, John.
No, I'm actually just listening because I love learning from you, Brynne. So you go.
Thank you. So one of the most magic areas in LinkedIn that is to me, what makes it the most valuable sales tool is the ability to search and filter your connections. I remember in 1992 sitting across from a prospect staring at his overflowing Rolodex, thinking if I could go through that, I would be able to see who he knew that I wanted to meet, ask for introductions. I wouldn't have to cold call anymore. Well, that's what we have with LinkedIn, and that's exactly what this is. So if we wanted to search our prospects, our clients or our centers of influence or our networking partners to see who they know that we want to meet, it's pretty simple. From their profile, you just click on their connections. You're going to choose second degree. Who do they know that we don't know yet? We're going to choose the location, and we would choose the title then, that Boolean search that we created, and I would then get a list, in this case, of everyone that Bob Woods knows that I want to meet that meets that criteria. So he may have 3,000 connections, and I may end up with 45 that meet the criteria of the people I want to know. Well, we can now ask for an introduction, and there's lots of different ways to do this. This is one particular introduction request, although what I would say, this is a template. You'll get this template alongside, this as a download. But I would say you really want to customize and personalize this. It is a template, but I really would want to say, hey, Bob, I hope you're well. I loved the blog post you put out last week on X, Y, and Z. I got some great takeaways. Hey, I'm wondering, right? Personalize it so it doesn't feel templated, even though I'm offering this as a template. But ultimately, this is, I know you're connected to, I've noticed you're connected to, someone that I'd like to meet, and I'm wondering if you'd be open to making an introduction. I will always include a little paragraph of how they can introduce me. Now, there are definitely some people where I can drop a quick note and be comfortable. There are other times where I'm much more comfortable picking up the phone and talking to my first degree connection and saying, how well do you know this person? Is it someone you'd feel comfortable making an introduction? So yes, we have a template, but we don't want this to become like an automated response. And with your clients, you can make a whole list of people they know, right? And same with your networking partners. And really leverage your relationship with your clients. Like typically, at least for me, before I had this, I was very good at asking for referrals, but I was not really great at getting them because I'd ask and then my clients would say, I can't think of anyone right now. But if someone should ask me, I would definitely refer you. But now if we can build a list of, 8, 10, 12 people that they know that we want to meet, and we run those names by them, don't just say, hey, Mr. Klein, here's 8 people I want to meet, but there are 8 people that you're connected to that I'm trying to get in front of. Can we have a conversation around them? Can I run the names by you? And all of a sudden now you have a conversation, and 8 may become 3 or 4 where they say, these would be great for you to talk to. And then we can either, I'm going to come back to this, we can either ask for that introduction, or we can name drop with permission. So if it's a client, let's say we have a list and there are 8 or 10 people, they say absolutely, and that's just a lot to ask for introduction. We can ask them, would you mind if I let them know that we had this conversation and you mentioned you thought I should reach out? Would that be okay? And then you just send the connection request. Basically, that looks something like, I just got off the phone with, so I could say, John, I just got off the phone with Michaela and your name came up in our conversation. She thought it made sense for me to reach out and connect with you. So kindly visit my profile, and if you agree, let's connect, right? So John is, we have this shared connection. He's very likely to accept my connection request. And I come in a little more, it's much better than a cold call, even a cold call on LinkedIn, because our shared connection, Michaela said we should chat.
Brynne, I want to stop here and just emphasize what you're talking about here. First off, you're giving us all magical tools for opening doors. And I believe that introductions and referrals is the currency of relationships, because your job on this planet is to grow by helping other people grow. And by introducing people, it creates magic. And I'm going to give you a quick story. The head of marketing globally for Dynamics was introduced to me 2 weeks ago by a dear friend, Jeff Shuey. That person happened to be traveling in New Zealand. I was on the phone with another person 2 days ago, and she also said I should meet this person. She also did an introduction, and that person responded immediately from her vacation in New Zealand. And now Nimble and Dynamics are going to be going to market globally as business partners, and all because of introductions. And so introduction or magic, and you are teaching magic right here.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, this is how I built my business over years, even way before LinkedIn. It was all about, we would literally have books of business cards, and clear, sheets where we would have tons of business cards, and I would sit down with potential COIs, centers of influence and networking partners, and I would go through all of my business cards with them to ask them who they wanted to meet. It's so much easier today. And the interesting thing is the business cards would get outdated. LinkedIn tells us that there's a 20% turnover on average of a position. That means 1 out of 5 people, their business card is outdated next year. So LinkedIn, which is now self-updated, will stay as current as possible. And so, because I'd go to make an introduction and the email would bounce back in the day. It doesn't really happen like that anymore. So it's just so much more effective and efficient to do it this way. And these conversations matter, and this is where this is deeply important into social selling, and it needs to be authentic, and it needs to be from you, and you need to welcome your new connections. And I've got templates up the wazoo, but I will tell you every time as much as possible, customize it. If they connect with you, see what you have in common, tell them why you want to connect with them. Don't make them think that it was an automated message that just got sent out. Make sure you're providing value and insights right away, and engage on your newsfeed and notifications. Although newsfeed, I would say, set a timer for 3 minutes a day, and that's it. That could be like a big black hole of time on your newsfeed. But your notifications are vital. These are job changes, amazing opportunity to reach out to someone when they have a new job change. Not just congratulations on your job, but look at what they're doing and see if you can provide help or insights in their new position, and recognize that there is now a replacement for that person, or there soon will be, in their old job, and there's another opportunity there. So keep that in mind. These are people that are engaging with your content that you've shared, that are commenting on your comments, liking your comments. These are all opportunities for conversation. Now, you don't have to do it with everybody, but if this is someone that you would talk to if you were in a networking meeting with them, network, have that conversation online. We do have, I have a welcome message that goes out to everyone. If they connect with me, and though I will always connect with message, but if they don't and it's someone that I want to connect with, I'm going to send immediately some resources. If you guys connect with me, I'll send you resources, and I'll always ask how you found me, because I want to know. This is how I start a conversation. If you sent me a message and you said, I heard you on John's webinar, then I'll say, oh, how did you connect with John? I've known him for years, whatever, right? Like, engage with that. It's a two-way conversation. Don't just say, connect and forget.
Brynne, can I interject here for a second?
Please.
So think of social as a river that's going by your business with fish in it. And you wouldn't just put bait on a hook and drop it in the river and leave the pole there and go have lunch or go take a nap. You need to hold on to the pole and feel when people are biting, and you need to reel those relationships in. And so if all you do is just put out your identity and you share content and you don't engage, that's a crime, because you're there to engage, to turn these conversations and connections into mutually beneficial, measurable outcomes. And here's a simple thing that is a way that you can use new connections with. What I do is I essentially have a standard thing, and it is a bit of a script, but it's basically something simple. And I say, thanks for connecting. Please tell me about yourself, what caused you to reach out, and how I could be of service. And even if you just do that, that lets the person know that you're human, and also invites them to tell you something that you can't find by looking at their profile, as well as letting you know how you might be able to add value to them. And that's the start of magic.
I love that. How can I be of service? That matches you exactly, John. Exactly. I love that. What a first impression that someone has. It's amazing. Well, the last piece we're going to talk about before we get into the magic of Nimble is engage with insights. And so this is really nurturing your connections, and even your network beyond their connections if they're engaging with you. This is really important. But remember, content is not just, there's my quote, but content is not just an original blog post. There is so much content out there, but here, this is the quote I said early on. But 74% of buyers choose the sales rep that was first to add value and insight. We have to be adding value and insight on a continuous basis. As we go out and we connect with people, even when we're engaging in conversation, not everyone is turning into a phone call. We know that. Sometimes the timing's not right for them. So for one reason or another, they're not in the right job. Someday, though, if we nurture them well enough, they'll reach out and hire us. I just have a quick story. I had connected with a marketing intern in Boston. I think it was Boston University. It could have been Boston College. About 8 or 9 years ago. She was in college still and was interning, and had maybe 40 connections when she connected with me. I spent a little time sharing some stuff with her because she was interested on LinkedIn. I had a 15-minute call with her. She was not a prospect, nor would I thought she'd ever be. She was a student, but it's, I offer 15 minutes to anyone that needs it, that wants that. And it was a wonderful conversation. And then I got off the phone, and I never really thought about her again necessarily. But I continued to share insights, and every once in a while she'd engage, and I'd thank her, engage back. And about 4 years ago, 4 years later or so, I got a reach out from a very big company called Welldine, who she took a job with. And when they were talking about hiring a LinkedIn trainer, she said, "Oh, have you ever heard of Brynne Tillman?" And they said, "No." She said, "You've got to check her out." And then they became a really big client for me. So it's really about continuing to feed that network without looking for something in return. It will come to you. Maybe it's a pay it forward thing, whatever that might look like. But you've got to detach from the sale and attach to what John talks about as service and just being out there and offering insights. When you're becoming a thought leader, you're sharing your content in your news feed. You're adding commentary if you've curated a piece of content, why you've shared it, what your reader will get from that. I have making comments on other people's posts, sharing content individually. So I have a routine where every week I choose 20 first degree connections and personally share a new blog post or a piece of or video content with them because that content aligns with their job or what they do. I'm not asking for anything in return. I will always say, I posted this piece of content, and because you are a sales leader in the financial advising space, I thought it might be helpful to you. Love to hear your thoughts. If you have any questions, I'm always happy to chat. And that's it. I'm not looking, I get thank yous, I get that's really great, I get ignored, lots of stuff with that. But it's all about providing value. It's about just kind of putting it out there. It's like the secret. If you guys remember, Oprah had the secret out there for a long time. What you put out there comes back to you. I really believe that now. I really do. Creating original content is not just blog posts. It's video. It's quotes. It's tips. It's interviews with people. There's just so much. And then I have that sending content to re-engage. That's 20 a week that I do. Well, John, we went through 4 pillars in a very fast-paced time, but this is recorded, so that's the good news.
Well, Brynne, I think that what you just has made people hungry because you left them wanting more, more, more. And let's make sure that we have links for the materials that we discussed. I don't see them in the final slide, so make sure you share that in the GoToMeeting panel to Michaela, and we can go ahead and make sure that we update the slides with those things so that we can then share with them. But Brynne, I love listening to you because you boil it down so amazingly effectively. So thank you.
Oh my gosh, this was so much fun. Thanks so much.
With that, you bet. I'm going to wheel through a few slides real quick. I think that you covered many of these ideas, but I think that we're going through a renaissance in relationships that that basically every day we're being bombarded by conversations and communications. If you saw the amount of unread emails in my inbox, you'd have a heart attack. But ultimately, your brand and your network are your network, and they're key to your success. And I'm not just talking to salespeople. Every business person listening to this today needs to be worried about their brand and their network. Did you know, Brynne, that the majority of Fortune 500 CEOs were engineering majors? And so just because you're not in sales today, heck, everybody's in sales. Everybody needs to be standing out from the crowd. And how is your brand today? Do you stand out? Google yourself today. Do you show up on the first page? And I know this is overwhelming. I know it seems like a lot of work, but literally it just takes a few moments every day to curate some content in and around your areas of passions of your products and services and share that content on your identities in the afternoon, engage a little bit. Because if you're not standing out from the crowd today, you're dead. And you're not going to stand out from the crowd by telling people how great you are or how great your products are. Stop talking about yourself. Stop talking about your products. Start talking about how you can help other people become better, smarter, faster. Put your prospects and customers at the hero point of your stories. because nobody wants to buy from Slick Willie. They want to buy from a trusted advisor. The buyer journey has changed. It's not a funnel, it's more of a pretzel, and you need to be part of that journey on the whole cycle to get people to not only pick up the phone and call you, but to drag their friends with them. Because as my dear mentor taught, out of sight is out of mind, out of mind is out of money, honey. And let's talk about tools. What tools do you use today for your personal brand and your professional network? I think we all need a golden Rolodex. I think we all need a personal CRM. You're not going to work where you work the rest of your life. You should be having your own personal CRM and bringing your network to work with you. And if you're in business, you should empower your team members to build their brand, because that builds the company brand and it humanizes your brand. And I think today CRM is broken. I know a thing or two about it since I invented it. And that's why I basically built Nimble. And the idea behind Nimble is that today we have silos of contacts in all these different places. You know, Brynne, there's an interesting statistic. There's 225 million global businesses. Less than 1% use any CRM. Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy. How do they stay organized?
They don't. Most people's CRM is their inbox, spreadsheets, or Gmail, G Suite, or Office. And the problem with those is that contacts, email, and calendar aren't linked, and every single team member is a separate contact database. So what's missing from every business today is a team relationship manager, not prospects and customers, but everybody the company touches. And that's what Nimble does. So Nimble will unify your team's contacts from iCloud, Office, G Suite, Gmail, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and over 170 SaaS business apps. Because in every business, there's silos of contacts in sales, marketing, customer service, and accounting. We unify that into a cohesive whole, and then we basically work back where you work, giving you the tools that you need to engage. Because today, you need more than a CRM. You need sales intelligence, because you should know who somebody is and what their business is about. And you need sales engagement tools, templated email tracking, and all those tools are each separately costly and they don't talk to each other. And that's basically why we built Nimble. And I think one of the reasons why we were recognized as one of the market leaders. But let's talk about the typical flow for business people. Brynne, do you use Office 365 or do you use Gmail G Suite?
I use Gmail.
Okay, so whether you're using Office 365 or Gmail G Suite, the problem is that today your contacts aren't connected to the conversations you're having or the activities that you're driving. So very few people go to the contact record in Office or G Suite, and the contacts aren't connected to the email and calendar activities that you're doing, and every team member is a separate contact database. That is a problem. And you know what? Goldmine did that 40 years ago. No, not 40. It can't be 40. A long time ago. And so today, what's missing in the market is the team relationship manager. And beyond that, I think that today CRM systems aren't really designed for relationships. They're designed for reporting. And you work for the CRM. It doesn't work for you. That's why they call it Salesforce. You have to force salespeople to use it. And so it's my belief that your CRM should work for you by automagically unifying your disparate contacts from all the places that they are. And I'm talking to you as an individual, or I'm talking to you as a business. And that's basically what we do by unifying email, contact, and calendar, and sales and marketing automation tools into one cohesive platform, mapping the identity on the person, bringing down the data, synchronizing every interaction. And of course, Nimble has all the basic things like tasks and deals and reports and things. But I'm here to talk about really the contact management portion, the relationship part. And so you can add Nimble into Office 365 or G Suite, and Nimble will then come up whenever you're engaging, giving you the context and insights you need to engage. Context is the history of interaction that you and the team have had on email, calendar, and social, and Nimble gives that to you right there in the inbox. And insights is, who is this person and what is their business about? And today, before you meet with somebody, you Google them, and you're supposed to go log that in the CRM. Nobody does that. And even if you did that, the person's data would decay because, like Brynne said, people change, company changes, and your system should change it for you. And so basically, Nimble works inside of your inbox. It works inside your calendar and your contacts. But more importantly, it works wherever you're prospecting. And so basically, if I'm out here prospecting, and I think we talked a little bit about this, where we were saying, let's go find more people like this guy. right? And so how would I find more people like David Gerstein? An easy way is just look at the keywords that he has, copy those, put them in the search box, and go find more people like David Gerstein. It's that easy. And then basically you have all these great people that you can go ahead and connect to. And if I wanted to connect to Michael, it's easy. Basically, I can Nimble him. So let's just look at an example of that. So let's say I want to connect to this guy here. With Nimble, you can easily just point Nimble to something unique on that record, and Nimble will then go ahead and automatically build that record. So what we did is we took the URL of his profile and passed it to our engine, our AI engine, and Nimble then suggests the identity for this person. I then say, yes, that's him. Yes, that's him. And then I basically ask Nimble to give me his email information. And so basically, if you give Nimble the first name, last name, company domain name, Nimble will go ahead and give you, in many instances, their email as well. And so basically, I was able to build a live profile on that person in literally seconds, and that works anywhere that you're engaging. And so if I wanted to go prospect smarter, you could do that by doing it in LinkedIn, but you could also do it in Twitter. Let's take a look. And so one of the things that we looked at earlier is I wanted to find more people like David Gerstein, and you could use LinkedIn to look that up, but you could also use Twitter. So you just open up his Twitter account and you go and look at his list that he builds. This guy builds lists of people like him, but he's also part of lists. And so if I wanted to find more thought leaders like this person, then I could easily just open up a list that he's on, and I'd find more people like him. And the cool thing about Nimble is that when you add names to Nimble, Nimble automatically builds these records for these people, and you could do it with one click. I could import that Twitter list in literally seconds. And so let's pick on you, Brynne. If I wanted to find more people like Brynne Tillman, I could easily go find them by just using Twitter and looking at the lists of people that you create, and I could find more thought leaders like you, and basically be able to build a list of sales experts. And again, when you put people into Nimble, Nimble will automatically go and build these beautiful records on those people in literally seconds. And then once you have that in your database, then what you could do is you could do these templated outreaches. So you could basically send a templated message from within Nimble. So you could have your templates here, and when you send those templates, you get these signals when people open and click them. But then what I could also do is, I don't know if you remember, I said you could import Twitter lists. Here's an example of a Twitter list that I imported to prepare for a Microsoft conference that I was going to. I found a Twitter list of 3,500 people who were influencers in the previous year's conference. I imported the Twitter list. Nimble then basically enriched them with people and company data that I was able to segment people who are influential in social sales and marketing. I then segmented 200 and sent a one-to-one message that basically talked about how I was going to be teaching about social sales and marketing, and I'd love them to attend. I got a 50% open rate and basically scheduled 25 meetings, which resulted in Microsoft signing a global reseller agreement with Nimble and becoming our reseller globally, where we've now evolved into the simple CRM for Office 365. And so this is just an example of some of the ways that you can become better, smarter, faster, utilizing Brynne's teachings and Nimble as your solution. And with that, Brynne, we've got time for questions. And oh my gosh, we have so many questions here today, but let's start with an offer. So, Brynne, you are kind enough to offer your link to schedule a call with you. If you do not schedule a call with Brynne, you are dumb. because Brynne is an amazing resource, and she's willing to give you some of her time. And I believe that after you schedule that call, you're going to hire her because she is the best. And I know every single thought leader in social sales and marketing, Brynne is the bomb. And with that, let's get into some of the questions. Brynne, do you have a link to the questions?
I'm looking. I see.
Okay,
Just
I'll go ahead and start because I have them here. Um,
perfect.
First off, there's a guy named Shekhar who's in Mumbai, and he says it's 12 midnight there right now. Actually, it's maybe it's a little bit later because that was a half hour ago. But he is listening in the middle of the night in Mumbai, and he said to you, Brynne, thank you for sharing the valuable information. This is amazing. So, kudos.
Yay, worth
Um,
staying up for.
so one of the questions from the audience is they heard that LinkedIn frowns on apps that scrape LinkedIn. They do. It's against the terms of service. Nimble doesn't. So let me show you how Nimble works. I'll just give you an example on a Forbes article. So if I want to know who this writer is, I just hover on the name and Nimble basically looks at the name and brings up a record if it exists. If a record doesn't exist, I can hover on a string. Nimble takes that string and suggests identities. If you map an identity that's known, Nimble then build the record. That's a live profile that was built in literally seconds. You get all the details on this person. And then if you give Nimble first name, last name, company, domain name, Nimble will give you their email, phone number, blah, 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 blah. We're not scraping LinkedIn. We build records with our back end, and therefore we don't violate their terms of service. Just clarifying that point. Another question is, for your own company, should we have a personal profile or a business profile, and why? Brynne, you want to attack that?
Repeat that one more time. So what should?
If you have your own company, should you have a personal profile
Yeah.
or a business profile, and why?
Yes. So yes. So your personal profile is what you work out of. It's not a company profile doesn't work like Facebook. The company profile is really a place to share content and a hub where people can engage if you choose to, and it's really a place to link to. So each of your staff members link to that company profile and people can follow it, but if you're not connected and it doesn't have nearly the engagement or the reach or any of what I showed you today. So you need to have both.
I agree 100%, Brent. I'm just going to show you an example. So this is my personal profile, and on it I share content to inspire and educate other people about how they could become better, smarter, faster in and around the areas of promise of my products and services. But I also share personal things. So if I read an article that I find interesting, I might share some pictures of the moment because I believe that people connect on the 5 F's of life: family, friend, food, fun, and fellowship. And that's why I think that Instagram has a place in business because people connect on their areas of commonality. And so you should have a personal brand that you share personal and professional content on, but you should also have a business brand in order to have a business identity. And in your personal brand, link that to the business identity, but you should also empower your customer facing business team members to build their brand because that then humanizes the company brand and it also helps your team members grow, which is one of your responsibilities. So I believe that you need personal brand and professional brand for yourself and your team members. I'm taking notes. I can see the eight. Can I see the 8 steps again? I missed the last two.
Oh,
So
so the
we're
last,
going to be,
yeah. Well, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
go ahead, Brent.
So I was just saying the 8 steps, the last two, and they're also on the front of my website if you go to socialsaleslink.com. But it's training your team or one-on-one, and then ongoing measure your results and coach for improvement.
And we're going to share the deck and we're going to share the video in a follow-up email. So you'll get that. At what point do you recommend we present ourselves as a company instead of as a consultant?
Well, I mean that's a personal decision, but I set up individual solopreneurs and consultants with a company page as well, because they are used differently. So if that's the question, um, if you have an LLC, you're a company, and I would set up that, or even an individual, if you, as a solopreneur, I think there's two reasons. And now you're on Twitter now, and I mostly focus on the LinkedIn side, but I have my personal Twitter, but I also have a social sales link to Twitter. But I engage more on my personal one. But we
Yes.
post more content on, and I'll retweet from social sales link, but like I'll share my family trips on my personal one, and I would never do that on social sales link.
So 100%, Brynne. I think that you need to have a personal brand and a professional identity, which is essentially there's John Furr, which is my professional, which is basically I have an identity in Twitter and in LinkedIn, but then I also have the Nimble brand as well, and we share them both, and so I think that you need to have both and then link them to each other. The next question is, what's a KPI, key performance indicator, you need to measure in order to know that you're having success? What about keywords, phrases in LinkedIn? Brynne, I'm going to let you answer that.
Yeah, so there's lots of places that LinkedIn and Google index inside of LinkedIn. There are a couple places that are really essential. The headline, your title, or titles, which is one of the reasons we have the deliverables listed as titles, because it really helps us get found for stuff that we do. Your skills is another place that's very much indexed for SEO, search engine optimization. That's where we can put keywords and phrases. But more important than search engine optimization is authenticity. Don't keyword stuff. I don't build a profile around search engine optimization. After it's built, we go back and check to make sure we've optimized it. But we don't build it first with the SEO in mind. First, we build it authentically. Then we go back with the keywords and add them appropriately to make sure that we are search engine optimized.
Thank you, Brynne. Is it possible to have a LinkedIn profile that's both high SSI and good for looking for a position resume?
So I am not a career transition specialist, and I am connected to many who are. And there's one, I just gave her a shout out, Lynn Williams, Lynn with an E. Williams, who really understands how to build out a LinkedIn profile for recruiters to find, and that when you apply online, you click all the boxes. You've got all those boxes covered in your LinkedIn profile. So that said, the SSI score is as powerful as I think it can be. Actually, only really looks for completeness when it comes to your profile, not for quality. So if you complete your profile, even if you've got spelling errors and gibberish, you'd actually have a pretty good score. So I hate to say that piece, but they're not looking for the quality, it's the completeness.
Thank you, Brynne. A question from Mary: is the search option for connections available within LinkedIn Premium?
So you can, what I talked about today was all in the free. The premium, primarily the Sales Navigator, opens up way more filters and search functions that are really powerful. But one of the examples I gave today were all available in the free.
Okay, and with that, we're at the top of the hour, Brynne. You mentioned that you have some place that you need to be, and I want to respect your time. So there, you mentioned links that would be available for the audience today, and hopefully we're able to put those in the question box, but we'll definitely put them in the follow-up email in regards to
connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'll send them links as well. So we get it. So if you connect with me, or if you're already connected with me, just drop me a note. And if you connect with me and just say, hey, I was on the webinar with John, I can send you a whole bunch of resources. I have tons of them I can send over your way.
And for those of you that haven't signed up for Nimble yet, feel free to sign up for a free trial of Nimble. There's a link there at the bottom. And if you like what you see, I'm going to give you a gift today. If you put in the code JON40 at the end of your trial, I'm going to give you 40% off your first 3 months just for attending this webinar here today. And please connect with Brynne and myself. Let us know how we can help you grow, because I know that Brynne reads from my hymn book that she loves to grow others, because that's how she grows. And with that, Brynne, thank you for being
Thank you
here with
so
us
much.
today. It's
This was
always
great.
amazing.
I had a lot of fun. Thanks, John.
Thanks, Brynne. Have an amazing day.
You too.
Bye-bye.